So Open Space and Habitat Commission, November meeting called to order. Ramiro and Sarah missing. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
I second that motion.
Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor of passing the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Announcements. Tracy, to you.
I have a couple announcements. The first is, just so everybody's aware, in case you weren't following the city council meeting, the city council met on October 21st and selected the two individuals from, I think there were 6 commissions to be on the general plan committee. And the 2 that were selected from the Open Space and Habitat Commission were Commissioners Huber and Greco. So they are on that committee now, and we will periodically get updates from them about what's going on with that committee. So anyway, I just wanted to alert everybody that that happened. Secondly, the open space signage that, we've been working on forever, I'll pass this around.
I saw that.
It looks great.
Well, I saw the North Davis one.
Yes, so they started going, and we're doing the sites on the, we're starting with all the sites that are on the north of Interstate 80. Except the eastern leg of the Wild Horse Ag Buffer, because due to the Palomino Place development, it's gonna get kind of torn up to put a sewer line through, so we're gonna wait until that's done and then put the signs in after that. But anyway, they started going in, and so keep an eye out for that. We're using the Sacramento Conservation Corps like we did last time to install it, so they've been great.
The Uplands corner has been a favorite corner, you haven't noticed, for all sorts of signs.
Yeah, well,
And volunteers like me kind of sneak by and pull them down and they pop up, so I'm really glad that the official signs
The
are
official signs are there, yes, the official signs are there. Yeah, hoping they don't all get tagged, right away,
Wow.
or ever. Anyway, I just wanted to, because we've worked on that a long time, so I just want to let everybody know that they're finally getting installed.
That's good.
Just brief updates on some of our pending easements. Beauchamps, as I mentioned, we did get the grant. So we had an intro training with the Department of Conservation for the grant agreement. And so the target is to get that grant agreement signed about in January. And so that's early in the year, so because that easement is pretty straightforward, I'm hoping that will close by the end of next year. So we'll get that one done. The sad news related to that is it was Carol and Ed Beauchamps, and Ed passed away a couple weeks ago. But they still want to move forward with this easement.
Can you remind me where that was located?
On Dry Slough,
Oh,
Yeah.
it's 79 acres, yeah.
That one,
Yeah.
El Molino, that easement,
Oh, yeah.
that's the 217 that is south of the Poudre Creek Parkway, that goes all the way from the Poudre Creek Parkway down to Poudre Creek, South
Yeah.
Fork. That's 217 acres. That one has been, that's the owner who
Yeah.
went and got it subdivided, or took all the steps to get it subdivided into 4 parcels to increase the value of the easement. Anyway, long story short, that's not really working out for him, and so he's going back to doing the regular easement, which I was happy to hear. And so we're just gonna do, the value of the easement as is, basically, without having the
Subdivision.
entitlements for the subdivision.
Okay.
So anyway, that appraisal is happening, and so hopefully that one will also close next year, because we've kind of already done a lot of the hard work on that one, so really all that's left is doing the appraisal, and hopefully it'll come in at a level that he accepts, and then we can just do it.
Okay.
So our commitment is gonna be quite a bit less, because the value of the easement's gonna be quite a bit lower, but, we'll, you know.
Okay.
And then the Towser easement, that one, you know, is sort of, east of the dump. Up there, that's the, ag mitigation and the Swainson Hawk mitigation acres for the Nishi development. That's like 106 acres total. We've pretty much finalized the draft of that easement, and so now it's with the property owner, and he's reviewing it just to make sure that he is okay with, because there are some restrictions on it because of the Swainson Hawk mitigation, so he's reviewing that now. So it's possible that one also will be done next year. And then there's just a couple in the hopper, which I may be bringing to you soon. There's not enough details to really agendize it yet, but I will when they're ready. One is the Billy Benson, you guys the commission had talked about that one once before, and it kind of didn't go anywhere. But she's ready to start again. She also purchased a property next door to her, so that one would be included. So it would be, you know, both properties. And those are near the County Road 30 where it curves near the Guild 2 easement.
Yeah, that's the one with the alfalfa there.
Yeah, it's an organic, organic farm. Well, the one she has, and then she's buying the one next door.
Okay.
So I'll bring that one to, when I have more information. And then it's possible I might be bringing you, another easement that's related to, an ag mitigation, but I don't have enough details about it yet too. So there's a couple in the hopper. So anyway, there's quite a few.
Good.
That's it.
Okay. Other commissioners, any, announcements? Okay, let's move on then to, I believe, the minutes. I have a motion to approve, the consent calendar with the minutes from last time.
Or you can do
Okay,
public comment.
Motion to.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Sorry, public
I'll
comment.
second.
Hang on. Do we, have any public comment for items not on the current agenda?
Oh, there we go.
I jumped ahead. No, okay.
There's no.
So-
Motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion on minutes?
No.
All in favor of approving consent calendar, say aye.
No,
Aye.
it's the minutes.
That's the consent calendar.
Okay. Aye.
Opposed? No?
That's
You're voting against?
Yes. I'm voting for it. Yes.
You're voting against and for it?
Come on.
What,
I
you just said
second
no?
it. I just thought you said the different things, but since
Okay.
they're the same thing, I'm good for it.
Okay, well, I just asked for no votes and you said no, so that confused me.
No.
Okay,
Okay, so there were 4 yeses and Christina abstained. Is that correct?
okay.
Because she was not there.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So that should take us to the regular items here, the main event.
Yes. So I think I'll let you guys, I'm gonna hand it over to our highly capable planning department. If you guys could introduce yourselves and consultants
Well,
meeting.
hang on, before we do that,
Oh.
what's gonna be the structure of this, what's gonna be happening? So they're gonna present
I believe
the
that.
PowerPoint that's in the packet?
Yeah, they're gonna do a presentation that's the PowerPoint that's in the packet, yes,
Mhm.
not the report, but the
Yeah.
attachment number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of explain that, and then perhaps maybe there's gonna be a little bit of context discussion that was presented in the staff report about what is being asked of the commission specifically. Correct,
Okay.
am I correct about that?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so I'm
Okay,
gonna
the
hand
floor
it
is
over
yours.
to.
Do you guys want to introduce yourselves first?
Yes,
They've
ma'am.
seen this a few times.
I mean.
No, they
just for-
have,
Just
they
for the
have
record.
really seen this before.
Well, but you still could introduce yourselves.
Okay. All right, I'm Sherry Metzger, I'm the Community Development Director.
Mm-hmm.
Darren Denmark, Principal Planner.
My name is Eric Yerkovich. I'm a principal at Randy Associates. We're the lead consultant on the general plan team, and I'm joined by Paul.
Hello, Paul Stevenson. I'm with ESA. I'm a senior management associate. And I prepared the natural resources, well, my firm prepared the natural resources conservation factor report.
Right, okay.
Awesome. So you can go to the next slide. So tonight we're going to really share just a quick update on the general plan process. I'll share the vision and project outcomes, which you all heard at least partially back in April when we met with the 6th commission group at that time. And then Paul and I are going to share a little bit and talk about some of the existing conditions analysis we've done. I'll talk a little bit about demographics and housing. Paul's going to talk about natural resources and open space. But the main activity for the evening will really be to set up a conversation with you all. We have heard a number of key issues related to the scope of the Open Space and Habitat Commission, around open space, habitat management, ag conservation. We're going to share what we've heard with you all this evening, both on the issue side and strategy side. We don't need you to confirm, we need you to confirm that those are the right issues and tell us if there are other ones we should be thinking about in the general plan, and then what other strategies we should be thinking about in the general plan process to help us bridge the gap between the issues that we've identified and the vision and project outcomes that we've started to identify as part of this process. You go to the next slide. So our process is really broken up into these 5 distinct phases. We're really in this, at the tail end of the listening and discovery phase. So we've published nearly all of our existing conditions reports. We have gone through a big community process where we had workshops, surveys, and other resources. So we've just been listening and collecting information largely. But that's really going to lay the foundation for the next phases of work where we're starting to develop land use and mobility concepts, as well as starting to draft policy for the general plan update. And while this looks fairly linear in terms of process, it won't be. We'll be collapsing some of the policy development as we go through the land use process. You can go to the next slide. Throughout this process, we're going to be engaging with commissions throughout as we go. This is our second checkpoint with this commission. We'll be back again in the spring of this year to talk about land use with you all. But again, tonight we're really here to talk about those key issues and the strategies. But again, we're here to really be generative and listening to you all and your thoughts this evening. Next slide. So since we were last with you earlier this year, we published and launched our project website at davisgeneralplan.com. We're collecting all of our resources there, including all of those existing conditions reports, summaries of our engagement work and all that. So if you're interested, feel free to go to the website and dig around through those resources.
Is that gonna be there for a while? And I'm asking that in part selfishly. I'm a new commissioner and I found a lot of the background material extremely helpful that I'd like to rely on in the future. Should I print it out at some point so I have it in my little Bible at home, or is it gonna be on the web for a
Yeah, I
while?
have a binder of printed material too at my desk. Yeah, we're gonna keep it up throughout the whole general plan process, but the goal at the end of this is not just that there'll be like a hard copy plan that we present, but actually we'll be creating a digital general plan as part of this too. So this website might transition into that general plan, or it might go to this website. We have to figure that out yet, but those resources will stay live in some capacity. Back in August, how many of you all came to our community workshop in August? Did any of you come? There are a few commissioners that from other,
Mission Palooza, yes.
from Commission Palooza,
Oh,
yes.
Commission Palooza, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
But the community
But not
workshop
the
in
workshop.
August?
no.
Yeah, we held a community workshop at the senior center right across the way. We had about 175 people show up. They did activities at 7 different stations. All that summary is on the website. Some of it's in your packet in terms of the things that they identified as some sort of key issues around open space and biological resources. Some of that's there. You'll see that this evening. One of the things we do in a general plan process is to develop a vision for where we want to be in the future, and this sort of becomes our North Star or our umbrella for the general plan itself. So this is the draft version we shared out with the community and have been getting public feedback on. It'll get adapted a little bit as we move forward, but this is the idea, is that Davis advances safe, healthy safe, fair, healthy, and sustainable neighborhoods where everyone has what they need to thrive and succeed. Now, that vision statement is underpinned by a series of what we call project outcomes. The intent here is to set a series of kind of guardrails for what we're doing in this process overall. These project outcomes really focus on healthy and resilient communities, engagement, city leadership, as well as plan preparation. These ones are the ones I would call sort of your framework pieces of your general plan. They touch land use and mobility, which are some of the most key and important parts of every general plan update. And those touch the work that you do as an open space and Habitat Commission, really focused on how we create open space and biodiversity within the community here in Davis. Next slide. As I mentioned, we also have guiding or project outcomes related to leadership and engagement and plan preparation. And I want to just say the thing here I think is really interesting for your commission's role is consistency with new state legislation. There's been a couple of pieces of legislation that have that affect general plans that talk about ecological spaces, rewilding, wildlife connectivity, which really sit and touch the work that you all do as a commission and that are being integrated and required of general plans now. All right, so we're gonna spend the next few minutes just sort of setting the stage and doing some background. Go ahead to the next slide. One of the things we always look at when we start a process is what's happening with the demographic characteristics in the community. One of those existing conditions reports that we published on the website is all about demographics and market conditions here in the community. Just summarizing a few of those slides, but largely the city's been growing over the last 30 years or so. It's grown about 44% during that time period, although there has been a slight decline since 2020 overall. But as the city has grown generally, you all probably know this, it's led to this big need for additional workforce and affordable housing here in the community. During the city's most recent housing element, there was an identified need for about 2,000 new housing units to meet a variety of different income levels within the community. Likewise, there's a capacity at UC Davis to add additional students, as well as faculty over the next 10 years or so. Although it's a little unclear whether they're going to meet those timelines in the demand that they have. In addition to population and housing needs, we've also seen a pretty big increase in jobs. There are over 15,000 jobs here within the city, and that's grown pretty significantly with 3,500 new jobs since 2010. So you've seen a pretty big increase in the number of jobs, particularly in healthcare, service and accommodation kinds of professions. As I mentioned, there's a couple of really important pieces of state legislation that touch on open space and habitat management, particularly. Senate Bill 1425 requires that general plans look at this intersection between fair access to open space and parks, climate resilience, particularly ecological resilience, and then also rewilding of open spaces and urban ecology within these spaces. So it's one of the things that will be, as we update the general plan, be looking at for this. And then more recently is Assembly Bill 1889, which requires general plans to look at habitat and wildlife connectivity within the communities.
Quick question. Are you taking questions now or should we hold off? I just have just a quick question on this one, which is these are new legislations, and so have we seen general plans incorporating these yet? Or are we just on the cutting edge of this thing?
So SB 1425 has been around for a couple of years, and I've worked on a couple of general plans that have addressed 1425.
I was thinking more of AB 1889.
Yeah, AB 1889 is a little newer. The state hasn't even published its guidance on 1889, and they just got around to the SB 1425 guidance about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
So we haven't seen as many jurisdictions do it, but you see it more at, I think, probably a county or landscape scale that you see those kind of programs being implemented. Right. So, so Senate Bill 1425 requires communities to consider the fair access to parks and open space within their communities. This dovetails with another piece of state legislation, SB 1000, or the Planning for Healthy Communities Act, that was passed back in 2016. That act requires cities to identify parts of the city that are considered disadvantaged. And under state law, that means two things. They are lower income relative to the county average and have a higher rate of pollution burden overall. So it's the combination of those two factors. And this map shows our kind of draft preliminary analysis showing where you have the intersection of those lower incomes and higher pollution burdens. And those pollution burdens, as you can imagine here in Davis, include things like exposure to pesticide use, or at least proximate to pesticide uses, as well as there's some hazardous facilities within the city limits. So as we go through the general plan process, we're going to be looking at these kinds of areas as disadvantaged and thinking about how they have fair access to parks and open spaces within the city.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to ask questions or not?
Sure, you can ask. That's fine. I think this is pretty, let's make it informal, if that's okay.
All right, all right.
Excuse me,
That's good.
may I have the document? This is is that the one you share?
So in terms of
This is
equity,
just the maps.
and you were saying access,
Thank you.
I was thinking about it when I looked at this at first, and I thought, some distance to open space, or, access to open space. But then I was thinking, it's not so much that as it is access to the access point of the open space. And are you gonna do some kind of analysis like that, like a distance type analysis? Showing like places that are furthest away, or the ones that are most isolated, that have the least type of access?
Absolutely. So they're in the park, I think it's called Parks and Public Facilities Existing Conditions Report. We did look at that very specifically, particularly for city-owned parks, right? So not necessarily the open spaces that are on the edge of the city or on the outside of the city, but really those city-owned parks and facilities here within the community. We are also through the environmental justice analysis that we're going to be publishing shortly, we'll have also looked at the same issue from the perspective of these disadvantaged communities particularly, right? So many of these neighborhoods have good access to parks, but some of them have less good access to parks. And so we've identified and flagged. So what we'll do in the general plan is write policy focused on those particular neighborhoods for that issue.
Yeah, sounds good, thank you.
Sorry, just to clarify, so those were just for city-owned parks then, not open spaces that might have recreational facilities?
That's correct. I mean,
Okay.
generally, we looked at in that particular context, we looked at those those city-owned parks that are highly amenitized, have playgrounds and other ball fields and other things, and looked at the
Community
access.
park, Central Park.
Looks like Sherry has something to add here.
Eric, I thought about this a while back, I probably should have said something to you offline, but maybe it would be helpful to the commission here to explain the conservation element versus the open space element and what is included in each one, because I think being called the open space and habitat commission may be confusing to them about what goes into what chapters of the general plan. So you have your own jargon, but the general plan law has its own jargon as well, and unfortunately, guess what? They don't match. So if you wouldn't mind, just a couple of minutes, I think would be fine.
No, and then that'll be a perfect segue over to Paul to talk about the work that they did. So in general plan law, there are 8 mandatory elements. There used to be 7.
Okay.
So Sharon this there used
For
to be.
years.
So now there's 8. So land use, circulation, housing, open space, conservation, noise, safety, and environmental justice. Those are the 8 required elements.
It's environmental justice, the recent one.
Yes.
It is the most recent, that's correct.
Yeah.
And the state gives you a lot of flexibility. So in their guidelines, you can have one chapter or element of your plan if you want to and combine all of them, or you can have 8 different chapters, one associated with each of those mandatory elements. And an element in their parlance is a chapter, basically. Sorry if that's jargony. But you can do 15 different elements. You can do 21, like your current general plan does. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. It's kind of hard to use sometimes, that bifurcation. But there are reasons for having more than that. So open space really focuses on open space issues, right? These are not necessarily city-owned parks. They can be vacant sites in the city. They can be agriculture sites. They can be a lot of different natural resource sites, but the state definition of open space is very broad. And so you need to have goals, policies, and implementation activities associated with that. And that sort of dovetails, I think, pretty closely to the open space you all think about within the role and purview of your commission.
But then you're talking only about what's within the city limit, the urban area limit, nothing that's outside of the city.
That's a great question.
Is that correct,
Can I come
or-
back to that question?
Okay.
No, we have been talking about that in my office extensively.
Okay.
So that's open space, and then conservation, the conservation element is a lot of different issues. It covers everything from water to stormwater, to water quality issues, to energy and waste management. So conservation and things like soil, and in your purview, things like agricultural lands, soils, resource extraction and mineral lands, forests. It covers a very, very broad range of things, including biological resources, right? So we're going to talk very specifically about open space and particularly agriculture and biological resources in Paul's part of the presentation tonight. So I think that, again, that dovetails very well with the roles and responsibilities of your guys' commission. Great question on jurisdiction. So the city generally plans for at least its city limits, but most cities plan for what we call the sphere of influence. So there are areas outside of the city limits that are in the so-called sphere of influence of a jurisdiction. The state law, both in the government code as well as the guidelines though, allows cities a lot of leeway in what they plan for. So is it just your city limits? Is it just your sphere of influence? Or is it a larger planning area which you feel like is important for your community to plan for, right? So that can be for conservation purposes, that can be for housing and circulation purposes, but you don't have to limit yourself just to your city limits or the sphere even. You can look at a broader planning area.
The sphere of influence, is that a strict definition of it, or is it?
Something designated by LAFCO, I believe.
Exactly.
LAFCO has a strict definition.
Okay, so LAFCO determines that.
And I think it's probably on a lot of the maps
Yes,
that you
yes,
looked
yes.
at in the package.
But I was wondering, is that how that, was determined?
And that's not nearly as big as the Davis planning area, it's much more limited.
Yes, yes.
We had to go through a public hearing process. They have a board just like you all, and their function is solely to determine boundaries.
That's right. And like you're probably aware of the development projects that have been proposed outside of the city limits there, and those are outside. Some of those are outside of the sphere of limits or sphere of influence. So they also have to get those have to be mapped into the city's sphere of influence, right? So there's a process that you go through with the county LAFCO to do that.
Okay.
That is a really great question. We've been talking about that a lot in my office about what you plan for.
So just for clarity then, so city parks are part of the open space element in the general plan.
Which is
That's,
why I
yeah,
got
exactly, okay.
that confused.
Which is not our purview.
No.
You know, we're not parks, that's Parks and Rec.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I think we'll try and figure out a way, and we've been talking to Tracy about this a lot, being clear about like what's a city-owned park And then within the open space designation and program, like what is the purpose and function of that open space? Is it ag conservation? Is it natural resource and biological resource, right? And being clear about the goals and purposes of each of those, right?
Although we do have a nexus where if we're putting in, native pollinator or whatever on city parks, then
Absolutely.
there's mixing of the two.
And that's a great segue to be thinking about SB 1425 and rewilding, like what can you do in city parks to improve the ecology of city parks, and even the urban forest, right? Not just your parks, but you maintain medians and streetscapes, right? So those are good goals for the city as well.
So if we want input on the open space element, we have to go as a private citizen to the Parks Commission?
No, we'll bring, the part of you guys talking to us is we're gonna take feedback that you get that's related to the open space element, we'll bring it, that's part of your overlapping.
You're probably not the only two commissions where it's
Yeah.
kind of like this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So part of the purpose of the general plan committee is to sort of sort through those places where that doesn't quite mesh up right, and try and figure out what ultimately you want to recommend to the planning commission and the city council, because it almost never comes together just perfectly the way it's supposed to in the end. But I wanted him to make sure that he mentioned to you all, so that the jargon didn't get you confused.
So this is good clarification, thank you.
This is good clarification.
Okay, great. And with that, I'm gonna invite, unless there's any questions on that background, I'm gonna invite Paul, if he's gonna talk a little bit about
Let's do it.
the existing conditions report that they worked on.
Yeah, sure. So, as you're aware, the city does have a robust system of farmlands and habitat areas, many of which provide critical habitat for special status species. And the existing policies such as the city's open space program, which is part of the city's strategy plan, are in place to conserve these lands. In addition, the YOLO HCP designates priority acquisition areas for the YOLO Habitat Conservancy to build a reserve system that meets the plan's biological goals. And finally, climate change and development pressures are driving farmland loss in the county. So future growth must carefully plan to protect sensitive species and to balance housing and job needs with land preservation. Next slide.
Hang on just a second on that. It's either a question or a suggestion on that first box where you say critical habitat. Is that critical habitat lower CH or capital CH? Because critical habitat is a designated type of habitat for endangered and threatened species. So if you don't mean that specifically, I would suggest using a different term.
Important.
Yeah.
Because that's actually a legal term from the Federal Endangered Species Act.
Yeah.
You don't want that confused.
Great, good comment.
Just change it to important habitat or whatever it is, but avoid critical habitat unless you mean legal critical habitat.
Okay, so here's a map showing agricultural land within the planning area. So around the city, it's a big site. You see California's Farmland Mapping and Monitoring Program classifies farmland by soil and climate suitability. You can see that Davis has 98,000 plus acres of farmland, with nearly 57,300, or 60% of which is prime farmland. So it's that dark green color there on the map. Of note, as shown in this figure, many parcels bordering the city limits are prime farmland. Next slide. Okay, so this is Williamson Act. So for those of you who don't know, Williamson Act, or also known as the California Land Conservation Act 1965, allows landowners to enter contracts with local governments to keep land in agricultural use for at least 10 years in exchange for lower tax rates.
and about 51,400 acres in the Davis Planning area are under contract. And as shown, many of the parcels bordering the city limits, particularly to the north and to the southeast, are not under Williamson Act contract. So a lot of your core ag areas are have the Williamson Act contract, but around the city, in a lot of places there isn't. Next slide.
I was a little curious on this
Yeah.
one, that almost all of the properties that are Williamson Act are actually conservation fee title areas. Yellow Bypass, Grasslands, South Fork Preserve, and I'm just kind of curious why those are Williamson Act if they're already fee title conservation areas.
The green isn't the
Yeah.
Williamson Act.
Oh, it isn't?
It's the
It's
hash.
Oh, it's the hash, okay,
It's
sorry,
the
I apologize.
Yes,
I
yes,
misread
yes.
that.
Confused too.
That was gonna be my
And-
feedback for
and-
the map, was that there
and
was
then-
nothing for green in the
Yeah.
legend.
Oh.
And then you see most of it is except really land that touches the city, basically.
You should probably have something
Yeah, you can resolve
on the
that,
legend.
as
that-
Christina just said, you have the legend having a green box.
Yeah.
For your GIS person.
Yeah, I just jumped straight to green, being obviously that's Williamson Act, since
No.
that was the obvious color.
That's what I
So,
did too.
apologies.
No problem. Next slide. Okay, approximately 17,700 acres of lands in the planning area are under a conservation easement. With approximately 9,000 acres or 51% under agricultural conservation easements, about 8,200 acres or 46% within the Yolo bypass. In addition, the city owns 348 acres of protected agricultural land to the southeast of the city limits in the vicinity of Grasslands Regional Park, and agricultural buffers, which you can see there on the north, right there, that orange strip right there. Located along portions of the northern and southern boundaries of the city limits, total 96 acres. And finally, as shown, many of the parcels bordering the city limits, particularly to the north and southeast, are not adjacent to lands under conservation easement. Any questions on this slide?
Why does it say 6,000 acres and you're saying a lot more?
Let me see here.
6,000 is the right number.
Yeah.
I don't know, you said 9,000, I wasn't quite sure where you got that, it's 6,000-ish.
Something about 8,200 acres or something?
I mean, unless you're trying the yellow bypass, which isn't an ag easement, really.
Oh, okay.
It may be that it's the bypass.
Adding the bypass to this
I mean,
number?
they do farming in there.
Yeah.
It's probably what we normally think, but
That
you said
makes sense.
9, so it's just something to think about, because I think of what we have in the Davis planning area as 6, because I don't count the yellow bypass. But if you're counting the yellow bypass where they do farming,
Yeah.
I don't know if there are ag easements on the yellow bypass, however.
Okay.
So,
There's flood easements stuff.
I have a question, did the city get a lot of,
We're gonna do-
We'll do public comment after this. I had one other question or suggestion so Clayton Howitt isn't marked on this, which I guess doesn't have an easement on it. But, I think we might wanna call that out, just 'cause it's gonna be an important, open space, potentially, habitat, enhancement, restoration area, and it's city-owned agricultural land. And I think it's doing a little disservice to not show it here as a potential part of, what we wanna do with open space in the general plan.
It's existing. these are.
Yeah,
Yeah, so is that.
There's no,
So is
but
it-
there's nothing on it now that would put it in this category.
Yeah, but it's different than all of the other white stuff out here, cause it's city-owned land that we could easily do something with.
It's on the, I believe it's on a different map, the open.
It is on a different map.
This one was specific, this was going in the chapter, correct me if I'm wrong, in the chapter, it's talking about lands that are specifically protected agricultural lands.
yeah,
I am suggesting that it's kind of, that it would do us a favor to put on agricultural land that the city owns that doesn't necessarily have strict protections, but still has greater city influence than private lands. That is a different kind of color, different category on here as part of this agricultural land picture that we're looking at.
You called it I'm sorry, I'm not familiar.
Was it
Clayton?
Clayton?
It's the Howard Clayton, well, if we put Howard
Howard,
Clayton, then we have to put on the
The
golf
next
course.
25 too.
Well, the next 25, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
also,
suggesting we should put all those on.
yeah,
well, but they could be a different.
But they should be a
color.
different color, they should be
Yeah.
called
Because they're
out.
not,
Yeah, yeah.
they shouldn't be the dark green.
No.
They have to be something else,
Yeah.
could be, yeah,
just city-owned,
yeah, like,
unprotected agricultural land is what it
like
would
the
be.
buffers
Put it
of
on there.
different color, yeah.
We also didn't put on like Russell Ranch. We didn't put on the university stuff either.
Yeah,
It might be something we wanna put on
Well,
there.
because again, it's like if you're
Well-
looking at it very, like the Russell Ranch is university.
That is something, that's a little different because they aren't the city.
yeah,
No, but this is supposed to be everything in the planning area, not just city stuff. Especially when
Yeah.
you're going outside the city limits, there's a lot of different actors. And, so it's not just specifically looking at city stuff.
Tracy, with the agricultural land with the university, I think of it differently because they could sell it at any time.
Well, that's
There's no
how Howard,
protection.
that's the same as Howard.
What's that?
That's the same position Howard is in.
Yeah, but this, I mean, the general
But it's
plan is
city.
to guide what the city
City owns it, but
does
it's not
and,
open space and it's not protected.
Well,
Those
that-
dark
yeah,
green
this
ones
is- it's
actually
not
have a deed
existing. This
restriction.
is supposed to show what's existing.
it is existing.
No, I mean, it's not existing protected, that's.
I know,
what
yes, and I've made the point several times that I'm not saying it's protected, but it's city owned, which is a step closer to protected than private land. That the city has the ability to do what they want there to achieve general plan objectives.
I think there are other people who have other ideas, but we'll make notes.
It could be, it could be on this map, it's just, again, when I was looking at the text of what you were writing about, you were talking specifically about protected land. But, you know, if we want to broaden that more and talk about general publicly owned land, publicly owned ag land is
yeah,
in the Davis planning area, then we would have to tweak this map a
Yeah.
bit and add a couple
Another
other city
category.
properties and maybe think about, I'd have to look a little bit about whether Russell Ranch would go on there or not, because again, that's publicly owned ag land. But not with an easement or a deed restriction. What's on the map now has an easement or a deed restriction.
I think for the purpose, so for example, with the university or the Russell Ranch, they can sell that parcel and
Yeah.
develop it as they want.
I think we should leave that off.
Right,
the
but
map.
then also with the city owned land too, it's not under ag easement, the city could sell it off.
And I'm not saying we put it as this light green color, it's a different category.
So I think for the purposes of this map, which are to show the conservation easements, this is accurate. And then there's a slide, I think 2 slides later,
Yeah.
that shows this in context with biological resource land as well as other city-owned parcels that kind of show the complete picture, because for the purposes of this, it's cataloging the current conditions as opposed to making a policy decision about those. And one of the strategies that you might want to bring up in that section is maybe doing some sort of easement on those city-owned lands as a strategy to further the conservation goals of the city. Does that make sense? Do you get that?
I understand what you're saying. I don't agree with it, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, that's all right.
Maybe this would be clearer if it's a protected agricultural land instead of just agricultural land.
Yeah.
That might clarify something. But going back to the Russell Ranch issue of public farmland, there's a lot of farmland west of the campus as well. I mean, I don't know if we want to go down that road. There's a ton of it, and we have no control over it, so what's the point? You know?
Yeah.
I don't know that Russell Ranch or any university farmland should be part of the purview of our planning.
No, I agree with that. I don't really wanna go down that road, but I do still think that city-owned but non-easement
I
ag
agree.
land should be on this map as a different color category.
City owned, yeah.
You wanna go to the next slide?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, moving on to habitats. Given what we've previously reviewed about agricultural, looks the habitats in the area is our cultivated lands. In addition, we have freshwater emergent wetlands such as the 400-acre Davis wetlands near the city's wastewater treatment plant and the Yolo bypass, and are also located in the western portion of the pine area, while annual grasses are in various locations within the pine area. Okay, moving on to special status species. This figure shows the locations of candidate, proposed, or currently threatened or endangered species within a 2-mile radius of the Piney area as found in the California Department of Fish and Wildlife's California Natural Diversity Database. Alright. Documented occurrences of well-known species in the area include birds such as burrowing owl and Swainson's hawk, mammals such as paddlebat and western gray squirrel, amphibians such as these are present, known to be present, northwestern pond turtle and giant garter snake, invertebrates such as the vernal pool fairy shrimp and the vernal pool tadpole shrimp, and plant species such as the alkali milkfetch.
Does anyone understand how to read this map?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dealt with CNDDB for 20 years, so.
Yeah.
Not everyone does though.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
All
moving on to, did you have a question? I'm sorry. No, okay. Moving on to countywide habitat conservation. You're all familiar with the Yolo HCP. It's a regional 50-year conservation permitting program to protect sensitive species and their habitats in the county while streamlining and standardizing permitting for covered activities and development projects. The HCP establishes priority 1 and 2 acquisition areas to guide where the Conservancy should focus its fee-funded acquisitions, easements, and restoration efforts to meet the plan's conservation goals and mitigation obligations. As shown, higher priority acquisition areas near the city are to the southeast, east of Mace Boulevard, and west of the city limits along Peter Creek. Also shown in this figure are baseline public easement lands, which are parcels that the Yolo HCP treats as already contributing to the plan's conservation baseline. So you can see the priority areas are around these baseline areas. That's like forms the core. It's going to form the core of the reserves in the future. Finally, the HCP includes ecological corridors, which are not shown right here, but I just want to point these out. These are intended to maintain, restore, and link intact natural communities in important habitat areas so that covered species can persist across the landscape. And the HCP actually designates an ecological corridor along the city's western and northern edges, connecting Pewter Creek, the western side of the city, right there,
to baseline public and easement lands near county roads 98, 99, and 102 there to the northwest, and then over to the north there along 102.
Question?
Yeah.
I realize that the HCP is made by county. Any way we could, kind of extend that particular map, on the south side of the city? Because right now we're just looking at the,
So the south side, that is the county boundary. Right?
yes,
So it would be the Solano HCP would be to the south of Cheetah Creek, right?
are you considering
Yes, we have that information.
Okay. to get a more complete map?
Yes.
Thank you.
The reason, and just, we actually do have the GIS data for the yellow HCP, and the problem was that they didn't provide it, that it was missing the ecological corridors. And so that's a figure that we can update, later on. Once-
Isn't it the next map?
It is not, well,
Corridors on the next one.
right, we have ecological corridors, and then this information also needs to be, updated. So we have that information, we're working with, Chris Alford with the Conservancy, she's providing the information to
Okay.
us. So we'll
Great.
have this, updated for you and have to the south of, Peter Creek.
That'd be
Well,
great.
the south of Tweed Creek, you have to get from the Solano.
We do have.
Yes.
And do they have spatially explicit priority areas for Solano HCP?
I'll have to check.
'Cause if they do, I haven't seen it.
Is it complete? The HCP in Solano?
It has not been adopted,
Okay.
but they do have that
The
information.
draft.
Yeah, the
Okay.
draft. Yeah, so,
I think they have existing, they have existing conditions,
Yeah.
things like
But
that.
I don't think they have
But
like high priority.
But this is
conditions.
priority areas, which is.
Well, yeah, true, and I think they do, my recollection.
I've
is-
never seen anything like that from them, but I haven't looked in for the
But
last
they do
year or two.
describe
Very slow.
this area by Tweed Creek.
Yeah,
It's definitely called out, because I remember looking it up once for
Right.
Chicago or
Right.
something.
Mhm.
that would be good.
Yeah, the YOLO HCP is unfortunately, YOLO.
Yeah.
And Kuta Creek is a boundary, so the south bank is completely ignored, unfortunately.
Yes, those arbitrary
Oh.
county lines.
Wasn't there, in our packet, we had, can I
Yes,
see your thing for a second?
please.
I thought there was
there is a map there, yeah.
It might be further on.
the
Yeah,
corridor
the
map?
corridor
You're
map.
thinking about this
Is that
map.
coming later?
Thinking about this map.
I don't think
Yes.
so.
It's not more different.
Yes, that's the one. This map.
The page number.
Yep,
is-
that map right
This
there.
one.
Well, this is.
Right there.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
the
corridor.
corridor.
This is
quarter map.
from the,
Yeah.
I mean, I tried to print it
Yeah,
big enough
this
so I could see something.
You have, isn't it in here?
It's not on this presentation, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, that's just the maps in a,
It's okay.
okay.
Go ahead, Karen.
Sure, yeah, go ahead. Sure, so moving on to, open space and, natural areas, there were approximately 6,000 acres of protected open space in the planning area. Parcels shown in green are either owned by the city of Davis, parcels protected by a conservation easement owned by the city of Davis, or parcels protected by a conservation easement owned by the city and the, Yellow Land Trust. And those parcels in yellow, you can barely see them. They were orange before in the previous map. They're there on the borders, the border of the city to the north, in the south, I believe I can see. Those are the, ag buffers,
Oh, yeah.
city-owned ag buffers, yeah.
So,
You might want to say on this one too, if you're excluding the YOLO, the YOLO basin, because again, 6,000 acres doesn't include
the
the
huge bypass.
the huge bypass,
Mhm.
a portion of which is
Yeah.
in the Davis planning area.
Yeah. And we still have 6,000 acres, and there was 6,000 acres of protected ag land. So, shouldn't be more? Should protected ag land be part of the open space protected open space with other things, or am I confused there?
Yeah, I have the same question.
Right?
Yeah.
It seems like it should be more if there was already 6,000 just in protected ag.
There should be more.
Maybe the nine
Well,
thousand.
actually, this map should be, is 6,000. This is everything. This is everything. The other map was a subset of this.
Right,
And less.
and we said it was just the protected ag.
Yeah.
Right?
Because again, if we're showing, one map is showing sort of protected ag land, the other one is showing, this one is showing protected ag land plus
Open
protected
space.
habitat areas,
Yes.
Right.
which aren't ag land.
So that number should be bigger,
Well, this,
The other
this
number
this
should be
is
smaller.
everything. The other
It's just
map
saying.
is a,
The other number should be less than 6,000.
Yeah,
Okay.
Or, I don't
if
know.
this number is correct.
Yeah, it should be a little different there. It seems to me.
and I guess, here's the thing, 6,000 acres is what the city has protected. Pretty sure.
But,
I'd have to go back and look, but 6,000 acre, I have to go back and look at the calculation, we can look at it, but I'm not sure it includes, it certainly doesn't include the yellow bypass and all of that, so
Yeah.
I guess it depends on kind of what we're trying to say. If you're trying to say here, and again, on this map, Howitt Clayton is on, Russell Ranch is on, these are not protected areas, they're just, they're just land that's not developed, but yeah, it could be sold, right? But it's on this map, Howitt and Russell Ranch are on this map,
Yeah.
it's open space, right? But it's not protected in perpetuity. So again, I'm still like a little confused about, what we're saying exactly with these
What-
maps.
characterization,
Yeah, like why
Because here you're
is Russell
saying
Ranch
6,000 acres of protected open space, but on this map, there are a lot of other things that aren't protected. Like how it's on here, and so,
So if
I'm
you-
looking at the map is correct, it's just the text and what we're explaining on the map is correct in
Mhm.
terms of what's on the map.
The
It's just
So I
the
think it's the
numbers of what
number.
you're
We can-
saying.
So we can fix the number on here, because I don't think it's actually documented in any sort of tabular form in
Okay.
the
Yeah.
existing conditions report, like any of the ag, conservation, natural resource conservation, there isn't a table of those numbers.
Uh-huh.
So we can clean up the language on that slide, but the
Yeah,
map
it's
is-
more just the number that you're referring to on each of these maps. The
And-
maps are correct, it's just.
and the appellation of what it is, yeah.
I'm confused why Russell Ranch is on this map at all. If you're not
Well,
gonna.
Russ, it's on because it's on, well, we
Owned
have
by
it
the
on
state
the
of
open
California.
space. It's because it's on the city's interactive map is sort of land, Russell Ranch is sort of, publicly owned, just like how it's on here. It's
But it has
publicly owned.
no public access.
Yeah, this is not publicly accessible. All
Okay,
these
no.
easements are not
So,
publicly
so
accessible.
so then why isn't the whole west campus, which is all agricultural research land, the same, called out in blue as well? Because that's all ag land that's owned by the university, exactly like Russell Ranch.
Well, I guess because we were kind of showing, I think what this map is trying to show is there's the urban, I think that west campus is sort of, even though it's outside of city limits, it's kind of the urbanized part. It's kind of the
But most of it is
urbanized
not
area,
urban.
and this is to show the outskirts of the
Mm.
urbanized area and what's around the urbanized area
Yeah,
of the city and the campus.
But, okay, so, but there are, like, for instance, Hopkins Road, which is in the west campus. It's agricultural land, there's a little bit of development along Hopkins Road, but the rest to the west is all farmland. And people actually use it, publicly access that land, like, that has more meaning and relevance than Russell Ranch ever will. To the people of Davis, West Davis residents
go there for work.
routinely go
Yeah.
walk down that road to access Puda Creek.
Yeah,
And so that's actually more relevant to planning in Davis than Russell Ranch is. And so I don't
Right.
understand why Russell Ranch is called out and that whole giant chunk of West
Yeah.
Campus is not.
and,
So that's great feedback that we can take and we can talk
Yeah.
about, so,
Okay,
and whether or not that gets added to this map, or Russell Branch gets taken off, or they
Right,
get split out in
exactly.
some different way, but that's a good
but
point.
it's just input, yeah.
Yeah.
definitely it's accessible, so people use it, so it's kind of information that's useful.
Correct, right, and not, as Tracy said, not all of these are publicly accessible lands,
Right.
right?
No,
Some of them
no.
are active agricultural
Right.
lands that you're,
Right.
that are not publicly accessible. That's a different map,
Yeah.
right, that tells a
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. It's just, we're just tweaking. We're in there.
Alright, wanna go to the next one? Okay,
All right,
so I'll just finish this off quickly, thank you, Paul, you can go to the next one.
Thanks for bearing with us, Paul,
Yeah.
through each of those slides.
It's been quite the learning experience.
Nitpickers.
Okay,
Hates these maps.
No comment.
I'll just, take over the space of all.
Say what you really need.
So on the screen now, we summarized some of the key issues that we heard at,
okay,
Commission Palooza when we met with you all in our public meetings and workshops, also at council.
Mm.
And then some of our technical analysis. This is a synthesis, right? And then there's some more, a little bit more detail in your staff report if you have that in front of you. We're here today for you not to reiterate these issues necessarily, but to say, hey, we missed this one or these three issues, and that they're really important for the, or opportunities, right? Not just issues, we can also focus on things that are positive. These are the things that we need to make sure to be considering, so issues, challenges, opportunities. If you have some more detail about one of these issues that you think is really relevant and germane to helping us understand it, that's okay. But we don't need you all to just tell us this list again. So we're gonna ask you in a few minutes about this list. You can go to the next one. One of the key things, obviously, is this, as you can see in that list of bullets, is balancing meeting the needs for jobs and housing with conservation and open space goals, right? So that's gonna be one of the things that we're gonna be talking about in this process, and we wanna just be transparent and daylight and talk about it. Because as we know in the general plan, housing element process, the city had a hard time finding enough space inside the city limits to meet the current housing needs that was in the 6th cycle housing element.
mhm,
That's just the next 8 years, now the next 6, maybe, I think we're at that point in time. So we have to be thinking about that issue and where to find space to meet our needs, both internal and in the sphere. All right, next slide.
Can I just ask a question? So you're saying the sphere of influence polygons aren't enough to meet our housing needs?
No, they have to be in the city.
That's being the city.
In
Okay.
order for HCD to allow us to count them,
Ah,
they have to be in the city.
hence an urban limit line. Now I get it.
Well,
Okay.
that's part of the
this
issue.
This is part of your conversation a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago. I
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's just really piggybacking on that
Okay, got it.
conversation. So you want to go to the next one? And then the next one just identifies some of the strategies we've heard. So some people tell us like, hey, we think this is a problem. And then they're like, hey, we think this is how to solve the problem, right? These are the strategies to move forward and think about it in the general plan process. So we have some around biological resources, ag, and then future development here in the city. So again, we're asking you now to think about both those issues and challenges and those opportunities, and then how to move from those issues, opportunities, and challenges to meet our vision and outcomes that we want as part of this process through strategy. So the second part of the question, the second question I'm gonna ask you is, what are those key strategies we should be considering in this process? And again, you don't need to reiterate what's in this packet or on the slide, but if you have other ideas or you wanna tell us some details about something, that would be terrific. Next slide. And so this just reiterates those questions, right? So what are those issues, what are those opportunities, and what are the strategies to help us like bridge the gap between those issues and our vision and project outcomes? Now, there's a lot of context here, right? So how do we make sure that we help people fairly access open space resources? How do we do it? How do we protect biological and human health in a changing climate and in a different federal policy landscape than we were a few years ago? We want you to think about those things as you issues because they're relevant and germane to the strategies that we think about moving forward. So we'll pause. And then we'll do each of these questions, and then when we do, we can go back slides and you can look at the lists and then you can add to it so you can see it in front of you if that's okay, Tracy.
Great.
Or what, you could take clarifying questions and then do.
I think we've kind of done clarifying questions,
Okay.
unless there's any last
No, I
clarifying
agree.
questions, then we'll go over to public comment on this.
Well, I do have a question under number 1, and
Yeah.
we're gonna get to those later, I can save it for, I do have another issue.
Oh, yeah, so we're going to be
later.
doing,
Okay, thank
all,
you. Yeah.
addressing all these questions.
Yeah.
Alright,
So, public comment is open on this, if you have,
Oh, okay. My name is Nguyen. I served for the Historical Resources Management Commission for 5 years, and I just turned out in June. And so my question is, for this city-owned lands, I can see the map. Is that along the Putah Creek? It belongs to Sonoma County, and the Yolo County is above the Putah Creek. And what is the if it is a parcel owned by the city? If I want to go like a assessor's office search, who actually is the owner? Is the city of Davis owns that piece of parcel, or is like a company? Do you know who is the owner for the city land?
Who owns the city land?
Is the city of
The
Davis?
city.
So if I found a parcel, like you listed here, and I can find the owner is the city and the.
Yes, like if you went in Parcel Quest and or any of those databases and you click on, one of the parcels that, just the ones that are city owned, not the easements. The easements are private property, but yeah, if you clicked on it, it would say the owner is City of Davis.
Oh, okay. I'm just interested in all this maps.
Yeah.
and your first question, most of what we're looking at on Putah Creek, Yolo County is on the north side of Putah Creek, Solano County is on the south side. When you get east of Mace Boulevard, it's all Yolo County.
Oh, we saw for
Yeah.
And another question is about the west side of the city, because I lived there for like, before I divorced my ex-husband and I, like more than 20 years. Which part you access the Putah Creek from where?
Hopkins
West
Road,
Hopkins.
Hopkins
Where's
Road.
the Hopkins Road? It's at, is that at, for the West Village?
West of West Village,
What's the word? Oh, okay, those church.
near the airport.
Oh, airport. Okay, got it.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, so, why don't we dive into some of this? Eric, it sounds like the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks.
Can I just issue you guys one thing? What I found, if you wanna just go through the issues all at one time, that's fine, but if you find yourself doing an issue then a strategy, that's also fine, we'll figure out how to
Okay.
best categorize it. So if you wanna do them both at the same time, that's
I
fine.
have an issue, I don't have a strategy, so can I go with the issue and starting with
Let's
it?
hear what your issue is.
Yeah, climate change obviously is very important in the materials that you laid out, and we're all worried about climate change. One of the ways that the state is addressing climate change is through mandatory what do I want to say? Tree canopy. I didn't want to say trees. I want to say tree canopy. And there is tree canopy legislation that relatively recently passed, where the state, through the appropriate agencies, is including CAL FIRE and some of the other agencies, the Air Resources Board, is working on a mandatory 10% increase in tree canopy in municipal areas in the state of California by 2035. And it would seem to me that that ought to be an important part of, at least mentioned in, going forward in this exercise. The legislation is AB 2251, and it's in the, Public Resources Code, section 4799.10.2. There's some definitions in there, and then there's the direction to include this information. And then if that is something that the city is open to going to, and it's not premature, it may be premature, I haven't looked thoroughly at the legislation, is where some of this tree canopy ought to go. And, my sense is that we do have some channels that are already starting with tree canopy, North Davis Channel, Channel A, parks, some of the new developments would definitely be candidates for additional tree canopy resource.
Thank you. That one seems focused on the statewide plan, 2251, with support from local governments, but it's a statewide plan, but we can look at it in more detail.
Thanks.
That's a good one.
Nice, sir. Let's go around.
Okay.
Christina, you're up.
Okay, let me look at my notes. Sorry, I wasn't prepared. Yeah, I guess, well, a couple things. I mean, so in also, thank you, this has been really great, appreciate it. But so for the staff report around public access, there's a discussion around expanding access, etc. But earlier on in the presentation, you talked about SB 1425, I think it was called. So, and I saw it specifically called out about considering income and race and all that kind of stuff. So that seems like something that we should be more explicit about in how to go about planning around that. I don't know if the map you showed earlier of the disadvantaged communities, if that was Cal Environ's screen or whatnot, you said it factored in income, but then I don't know if that was also baked into it, race and ethnicity as well, from other mapping databases pulled from.
EnviroScreen does not include race and ethnicity. They've taken, that was an intentional thing done at the state level to not include that in there, as you can imagine. But they do cross tabulations on the final results with race and ethnicity, so you can see the correlation. And income and race are highly correlated in a lot of California, so there's a fairly high correlation between income and race.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I thought that maybe should be called out more explicitly in the, I don't know what we're calling these, the critical issues. At least that's in the staff report. What else do I want to bring up? Yeah, you can circle back to me. Feel free to move on. Mark, if you have something.
For you, Mark.
Well, one of the things I see is that we've been talking a lot about fee titled protection, be it for habitat or agricultural land, and most of the time that doesn't allow any public access. And it seems to me, I mean, it's linked to what you just said and others, is that to be able to increase public access to some open space that is not just the parks within the cities. And one of the examples is the South Fork Preserve. We need to do more fee title acquisition. And this also raises also the necessity to think about maintenance of such spaces and what are the costs of such maintenance. And so that's an issue. I'm not quite sure how to solve it, but that's something that is there.
Could I build off of what you said? Because I
Of course.
found my notes, but it's related to the maintenance, because I noticed that's called out as an issue, but then I didn't see any, strategies on how to address it. I was like, that's such a big one, and I know we've talked about it a few times in our commission meetings. So maybe that's what is open for discussion. I don't know if it's a general plan policy, I don't know if that's like
Oh,
necessarily
it
within the
is.
scope
It
of the
is.
general
Yeah.
plan, but is there some opportunity around creating a separate fund? I don't know, Tracy, I remember you explaining to us, I don't know if it was imposed or like promised by the city to cap maintenance costs at a certain level, or if that was an official policy or
It's not really, it's not an official policy, but there was, some, community feedback
Yes.
back in 2015 that was negative about how much
Yeah.
Measure O, how much, percentage of Measure O was being spent on, personnel and staffing and just status quo. Maintaining the status quo. And so at that time, when we did the analysis, we, just as a staff level, but before the city council, kind of made a commitment to try to keep that number to a third of the parcel tax.
Yeah.
So that the other 2/3 could be used for things that people were asking for, which was like habitat restoration projects or acquisitions, things like that. It's not a policy, it's not a hard and fast. It's more just, a staff, or just as a city, it's just aware that that was a problem, and so we kind of watch it, but, at the same time, we all know that that maintenance costs a lot, and so it can quickly, depending on, the acres involved, it can quickly escalate and be a high number if, you're talking about adding a lot of acres to the city's portfolio of open space areas.
And I'll just say, can I add to that if you don't mind? Like,
Yes.
if you look at the park and recreation existing condition, that was one of the issues that was raised during the community needs assessment too. And there's a pretty significant maintenance gap already for city-owned parks and open space. Just looking up, it's over 10 years, it's like $14, $15 million for a park. So there is a gap as well, just that has been identified just in this maintaining the city-owned parks in open space and not just external to
Yeah.
it. So that's a bit of context for that comment.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not an easy one, but I think that's something that we need to think about and see if there's something that can be, set up within the plan updates.
Do you have other issues or,
Nothing that
strategies?
comes to my mind just this minute.
Okay.
So why don't we move on?
Great, thanks, Mark.
Yeah, I got several things. What that page?
Oh, sure. The page.
On page 28 of the report,
Yes.
there's a section called urban wildlife. And second paragraph goes on to talk about examples of Julie Partansky Pond and West Area Pond, which we love. Those are just, fantastic places, and we want more of them in the future. But the maintenance issue is gonna be a stumbling, so we need strategies for that. But what's missing from this part of the report are many things in Davis that need to be included. And so I'll list some of them. As Eric just mentioned, Channel A, which we affectionately call North Davis Ditch, is a affectionately known as is a very important wildlife habitat now that it's been quasi-restored with some with trees and shrubs and ground covers and things that are native plantings.
Rewilding.
It's rewilding.
Yeah.
And so this is a really important component because we want to keep doing stuff like that. But we need to call it out in this page 28, urban wildlife. We need more description about that, as well as a couple of other places. So in addition to the North Davis ditch. There's also a swale that is the headwaters of this channel. Most people don't know about this, but it's in our planning area. Or no, maybe it's in the planning area, it's not in the city limits, right?
Not in-
So if you look at that far west, city limits boundary, where you see that red polygon and goes
Yeah.
straight south, that is part of Channel A. The headwaters are actually agricultural lands that all feed into a channel. You can see it on a bigger map. Here, you can see it right here.
Yeah,
This is part of Channel A. It does this, goes up, goes here, goes across, then goes across here, and then goes all the way up here, and and the rest of
Importantly, it almost goes all the way down to Puda Creek.
Well, it goes way further west.
This thing
A
goes
lot of that
way
land,
out here.
a lot of that western land feeds into the water areas.
Yes, this is a very important
So-
biological
Right.
resource.
yeah.
Right.
It's
So we were describing areas in the city limits.
this is city limits line.
Yeah.
Quite a
It's in
bit
the
of it is
Davis
in-
planning
The
area.
headwaters are way over here. Well,
They
we
would
can,
be
well,
way
yeah, well,
over here.
so the headwaters out in the ag area.
But what I'm saying is, like, this water that, that's collecting in here comes through our city.
Yeah.
And it's literally a riparian area that's homeless.
Okay.
It has nobody taking care of it. No, there, you can see how it's bare right here. They cut
Yeah.
all the trees down. But then tree cover starts to get a little heavier here. It just.
Is that
this
still,
should
is that
be-
still referred to as Channel A? Down
I
there?
don't know. There's no name for it. That's one of the
There's
frustrations.
Channel A's up there, right, but yeah.
It's still Channel.
This
And
is
on your map
This is
too,
Channel
Channel
A
A.
here.
where it comes across,
All of this is officially known as Channel A. All
Yeah,
this-
yeah.
that's the Channel A part that's
These are the
wild.
headwaters of Channel A.
Headwaters of
but-
Channel A, got it.
Yeah, and the headwaters of
For
Channel
lack
A
of a better
I
feeds into
logically-
what we're calling the ditch.
Just,
I think is in your documents correctly.
and just
As
piggybacking
the
on
North Davis
that.
channel, you have the North Davis channel in your documents. That is part of Channel A, and then it goes across, Pole Line Boulevard, it goes across F
Yeah.
Street
Right.
to
Yep.
that big parcel.
All the way up.
It's not Channel A.
Nope, nope.
No, no.
That's not Channel A.
This is
No,
Channel
no.
A.
Yeah, Channel A is this
No,
right
no.
here.
It
You
goes.
see,
Yeah.
you see this thing right here?
Yeah.
I'll
Oh,
draw.
right, up to-
So this is.
It ends up there.
Dry slough, right?
No, that's Willow Slough
I mean,
bypass.
Willow Slough bypass.
Yeah.
So Channel A, I'm going upstream, starts here, goes down like this, through Wild Course, across here,
Up the creek there.
up,
Yeah.
it goes
Yeah,
across
around.
this way, down, goes across 113, I've crawled through that thing, and it comes down, it's very weird, it does some weird thing, and then it goes along the north side of Covell.
Then it dips over to the south
And
side.
then it
Yeah.
goes to the south side
Got
here,
it.
and then it goes to the,
Yeah.
There's
what I'm trying to get at here,
That on the map.
this is a major system, and it needs its own map.
Steve, can I add one important part
Yeah.
of this, is that when you get to the west, it drops south almost to Puda Creek, so it essentially is a linkage, a wildlife linkage between Puda Creek and Willow Slough bypass.
I'm not so sure that the Davis planning area gets us there, we have to look at that.
No, but functionally, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's.
And that's why
functional.
we care about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So that's one,
And you're talking about those areas are all have little canals that are dug out now too.
Where?
There's feeders, but along on the other side of 113, there is a canal, there is a little canal that goes along 113.
Yes, this right here,
Yeah.
to get it back to Covell.
Right,
Yeah, it's hard to follow, you kind of lose it, it's.
I live out there, so.
Then there's also right here,
It kind of goes over right.
is a
west.
flood detention basin,
Yeah.
which has some wildlife value right here. So that's another thing I would like you to create is a flood detention map, just flood detention. And put all of them on there, not just you know,
The detention ponds.
west, not
So
just like,
Hortansky, west area, and then.
yeah, so there's West Pond is
Yeah,
here,
mhm.
but there's also this Stonegate retention, basin here.
We have.
This is an
We have a map.
overflow. What's that?
No,
Okay.
I have a map from Public Works.
Of all that
Has
stuff.
all the basins and channels.
Yeah,
It needs to be part of this report. It needs to be, like, so there's this one, there's one right here, that's,
Can
another
I ask
flood
why?
detention basin. It's not permanently flood. What's that?
Why?
Why what?
Why do you need that map as part of the report?
It's crucial, critical, wrong word, very important habitat, resources for Davis. And it's not just a thing, it's not just a place, it's a system.
It's significant habitat. in the
Significant
city of
habitat.
Davis.
and then it's a corridor in a way too, because
Absolutely.
it allows, movement of, you know,
Okay, let's go to the, what would the next,
and
okay, let's say that we agree with that. I'm gonna be devil's advocate.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
So what?
It's one of the most important things in Davis that we haven't, augmented for public,
So you're gonna be
enjoyment.
looking for strategies to augment it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that means it would never get touched
So then it would be protected.
with,
It's a biological resource that's unprotected.
okay, cause I'm not trying to be argumentative.
No, I understand,
Please,
and so I'm just gonna come at you just as
Okay.
hard as you're coming at me.
and then,
You know, that part of
Arguing
our
is good.
current projects is to move part of it,
Move part of,
Channel A.
okay, great, and so let's do it so that it benefits, the system.
right,
Right, and the
So-
system would continue, and
Yeah.
they will be required to do tree canopy
Right,
and all
Yeah,
those
exactly.
things.
yeah,
But my point being.
Yeah.
If you're going after some kind of a preservation strategy, that's probably not going to
No,
work.
no,
The other thing that you
yeah,
have to
go ahead.
work against is Public Works' desire and strong desire for flood control.
absolutely.
And
Not
sometimes
happening.
habitat and flood control are at opposite.
Okay, so that brings me to
They are.
another point,
They aren't.
which
Well,
is,
they can be,
They can be,
but.
No, no,
if they're
hold
done
on.
right, they're not.
hold,
they
hold, hold,
don't
hold,
have
hold.
to be.
Right.
They can be.
Hold.
I agree.
Steve has the floor.
All right,
I wrote a paper on this in 2014, and that was because of exactly this argument that we're having.
Yeah.
The design of flood control channels is based almost entirely on one engineering parameter called roughness. And that roughness is trees, shrubs, and rocks. And the way civil engineers design flood control channels is to take all the trees, rocks, and shrubs out and create basically a
complete-
smooth surface for, you know, water to go as fast as it possibly can go and erode as much of the banks as it possibly can so that we have to fix them.
Yeah.
So I wrote the paper saying, hey, civil engineers, dear civil engineers, here's a suggestion from an ecologist. Please design the channel with roughness values of 0.04 or greater. And that will freak them out because that's a lot of roughness that I'm asking for. But if I don't ask for more, I'm never gonna get it. So,
Well, the North Davis Channel has now, with a compromise with the
Yeah.
people, the engineers that designed that channel.
0.1, yeah.
Roughness.
What's that?
Significant roughness.
it has significant roughness, and that was an issue
Yeah.
because it's gonna cause backing up of the floodwaters and all that kind of stuff. But in
Which-
urban
Which in practice it doesn't. What is causing the backup are the dams created by garbage from the homeless.
Yeah, well,
Okay, let's not go there, but, yeah, I get that. But the strategy that I wanna see in the general plan is to get literally those roughness numbers into our general plan for flood control channel design.
That's your issue.
Well, no, so I was just, looking this up and you can go to, I just worked on this project in Sunnyvale. And it was a former Valley Water Flood Control, creek ditch.
Ditch.
And they worked collaboratively with some of the local groups there who are doing natural resource work and Google, who's the property owner. And what they've done is they've expanded, because Google owned the land, they expanded the width of the creek, which allowed more roughness. And what they've done is created essentially floodable parks.
Yes.
So 95% of the year, totally open to the public, like it's public common space, it's trails, it's rough, it's planting, it's vegetation, and then 5% of the year it can fill with water when, during those events. So it is possible, it takes a lot of money, and a lot of forethought, and like engineers who are willing to try something a little different, but it can be a strategy that we talk about in the plan.
And in the North Davis Channel, that is essentially what's there for quite a big segment, and what we're talking about, the change in Channel A and moving it, I think is on the other side of F Street, on the eastern side of F Street, which will enhance the flows, because it's gonna make the channel wider there, and can help with the roughness that's already in the North Davis Channel, and the rewilding that's there and doing great.
And it can help with your stormwater in a changing climate conditions. So if you can get enough additional capacity, you may not have to widen all of it, right? You may be able to hold and maintain, like kind of hold it, retain.
Detention basin.
Yeah, and hold.
So, you have something you want to say?
I just had one remark, but when you're ready.
Okay. So, that's Channel A. Now, there's also Willow Slough and Dry Slough. They also fall into this category of flood control channel. I think they're used as agricultural drains, but when they're not being used as flood control conveyance. Let's see, the other thing that's missing is the community separators. So we have two community separators. We have a Woodland Davis community separator, and we have a Davis Dixon community separator. And we need a map that explicitly shows where those are.
What is a community separator?
A community separator is agricultural land that's put into easements to prevent the two cities from growing together.
Thank you.
And there's a very large swath north of Davis that's preventing Woodland from connecting to Davis. And I think that that's an important component of our planning, even though it's outside maybe the Davis planning area. It is still I'm not sure.
No, it's not.
That's why I want to see it on the map.
I think part of
What's
it
our
is,
priority opposition areas?
yes,
It is, okay, so
yes.
we just need those two on, like, a map of community separators, it's an issue. And then, let's see, the idea behind Willow and Dry Sloughs, so they're not, this is Dry Slough, and then
Willow Slough's further north.
Slough just comes up here, and they come together like a Y, and they meet right here, and then Willow Bypass Slough is this. These two creeks are similar to this in that they are very valuable biological resources for the city.
I just want to point out one thing that may be helpful. There is a nature panel along the bike path.
Yeah.
North Davis Channel that shows all the water flow areas.
Yeah.
And that's pretty sun bleached, but we have access to the original document, and that may be something good to share, because it has all these waterways coming in, and then where they come from and where they go, and then they end up in the Sacramento River.
It's a really great interpretive panel. I know the one you're talking about, and I love it, and it is really wiped out, but
No, you finish.
okay. Okay, so did I miss anything here? Willow Dry Slough, Huda Creek, and the flood. So in terms of wildlife corridors, connectivity, and that kind of thing, I think we need a map that that has all of these systems on it as the corridors. But there's one corridor we haven't talked about at all, and it's on that map from the YOLO, from these guys here.
Yeah.
There's this weird swath that goes from Woodland, Cache Creek, down to Puda Creek.
That's the one
along
here, yeah.
So it's basically this chunk right here, and we've just been talking about it.
Yeah,
So like this becomes, you know, we have a ways to go to get here, but, you know, somehow or another, maybe it's this connection here, maybe, you know, that it's not necessarily this, but more like that.
I think that's right.
Like are you following?
I am following.
Okay, so, this doesn't quite get at it. I have to admit, I was one of the people
Okay.
pushing for this. I was an advisory committee member on this plan.
Okay.
yeah,
And we were trying to get them to think connectivity over, you know, larger scales. And that's what ended up in the plan. I was never very satisfied with it, but I'm liking our discussion tonight because we have a lot of minds that are really sharp on this issue. And if we could somehow nail this down, that would be a really big accomplishment for the city, if it were implementable over the next 100 years. Because this might be the 30-year plan, but really, it's many generations ahead that we should be trying to set up. You know, like 3 general plans from now, maybe we'll have a corridor that connects.
So you're looking for a corridor map? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, like a.
That just pertains to the city itself, like just the.
Just the ones that I've been explaining, like Channel A.
In the planning area.
In the planning.
Yeah.
In the planning area, Puda Creek.
yeah,
Channel
Willow
A,
Slough.
Dry Slough, Willow Slough Bypass. These are all of our corridors. Oh, there's one more corridor that I'm sure none of you even know about. I'm not sure. You might know.
all right,
All right, let's
secret.
again, why we need a flood detention basin map. So let's go to our flood detention basin at
Right.
the post office.
Right.
Okay. This right here is a major detention basin that dumps its
Yes.
water into a little canal that
Oh,
goes
yeah,
right here. You see these trees?
Yeah.
All these trees?
Yeah.
This
yeah,
is
yeah.
a river.
Yeah.
This is a river, and it goes all the way to the bypass.
Mhm.
It's one of the most major corridors in the whole town. And when they built that stupid toad tunnel,
That's what I was gonna ask you.
Yeah.
I was so pissed off because I'm like, you had the best place possible right here, and you didn't put a pipe under the railroad to get to the place where they actually would live. They put it into a parking lot where they get crushed by cars. It's one of the most dangerous intersections in all of Davis, and we're having all the toads go into
So
it.
is the channel on the north to south side of the tracks?
Between the tracks and the
South side.
freeway.
South side of the tracks. north side.
South side of tracks, it's really a crunched corridor, but
Yeah,
hey, it is what it is.
It's what we have.
It's what we have. And if we could enhance it to any degree, it would be a major biological resource.
If I asked anybody who was not a biologist,
Yeah.
is a drainage ditch?
A drainage
Is that what it
ditch is one of the most valuable urban
No, I
habitats.
understand that, I
No,
understand that.
it's a drainage.
Is it-
ditch.
It's a drainage ditch.
It's a drainage ditch,
Yeah.
for sure. Just like Channel A is a drainage ditch.
And do you happen to know if we own it?
I don't.
City?
I have
I
no
bet the- I
idea.
bet the rail.
Railroad.
I bet you-
Probably a railroad easement of some kind.
Steve, is that different than this Mace one that goes here? This is the one that goes.
Yeah, it's different.
It is
It's different
different,
from
but I
this
think it
one that
feeds
goes
into
out.
it. They-
Because this one has one that goes out here.
connect right here.
They connect here?
This is, well, I've never actually traced this channel all the way,
Because I thought
all the
this
way.
one went into, you know, where that.
It comes in.
This
Yeah.
thing here.
Yes. But this is.
It goes right here, and it goes through here, and then it comes
Parallels.
up, it goes up through here. Cause this is part of this. And then it goes under this part and comes up here. I don't
Sounds
know,
like we
I
have yet another corridor, see, that's
this
an
is one that-
excellent observation.
Yeah,
So we have all of these like little gems that are completely invisible to most people, but that's where all the biological action is happening in our city. It's really ironic.
yeah.
So what I imagine you would really like to see then is some
Yeah,
formal
this is
policy about
what-
protecting
yeah,
them, so
Right.
they don't get built over.
Yeah, especially when nobody's even aware of it, and they destroy something so once was nice,
Yeah,
and had no idea that it was, valuable at all. These are sort of the invisible ecological spaces of data.
So I would like to move us on a little bit. Do you have more
Yeah.
points on here that you came up with?
We actually have a public access easement.
I'm good.
We actually have a public, remember, and Steve, I don't even know if you know this. So,
Yeah.
we have a Leland, this easement here, we have an easement here
mm-hmm,
on this Leland property. And we have actually where the channel goes through, we have a public access easement on here.
I'm kidding.
That is
Yeah.
only valid,
It's
it's only
like,
valid if there's public access from here to
to
here.
there.
And we don't have that.
Which we
No.
don't have right now.
which we would have
We would
if
have
we,
had
with disc.
with disc,
Yeah,
because again, we were asking for the same thing.
yeah,
So then there would have been this, so then we would have gotten public access all the way to Howard.
To how it,
See, that's the kind of cool stuff.
Yeah, it's all the-
You're
yeah.
shooting for that kind of
It's
stuff.
in essence the
Yeah.
connectivity
At
that you're
least
looking
the
for.
vision of it. It's just a vision.
Yeah, that's really
And- yeah. And
so do you have a response to that?
the only remark I wanted to be as short is that it seems obvious maybe to most of us here is that it's not only good for the critters and the connectivity, but if it's well done and improved a little bit, it's public access, and those places as valued as a place where people can go take a walk right outside the city. So that's I think there's a synergy there, right? Doesn't have to be super wide, but there's part of Channel A that are really enjoyable too.
The ditch or the North Davis Channel is a significant part of Channel A, but it has been rewilded with the cooperation of several components of the city, including, Public Works, they've been a good partner in it all, to the fact that it's almost a nature park. I mean, it is the channel, but it's got a lot of improvement, and natural improvement, and it's been a really good cooperation between volunteer groups and the city.
So there can be a synergy there.
So just there's a lot of stuff.
I'm sorry. It's just
I've got more to
bottled
add
up for
too, so
years.
before you finalize.
Yeah, you're just letting us these maps.
Yeah, the maps is,
Well,
so-
Maybe, let me summarize quickly, because I think what you're asking for is essentially like a framework green print plan
Yeah.
for a city, and it's not an existing conditions map necessarily. Let's move away from like the existing conditions document, but what you're saying is that these channels provide an opportunity to do all the things we want: open space, habitat, storm protection, all the things, right?
Right.
And that's a framework of these creeks, plus these open space areas, plus the community separators, right? It's a framework of things, right?
I would push back a little bit and I'd say some of it is it's a combination of existing conditions and strategy.
Understood, but I'm just trying to think about
Yeah.
rather than focusing on like asking Paul to make a map at some
Yeah.
point, right? It's really about creating the strategy for the green print for the general plan, right? Let's
Correct.
moving into that.
Well, and I think it's part of the general plan is the habitat connectors.
Absolutely.
And that's a big significant player in these things we're talking about.
And that's where a map in the existing conditions would be very helpful.
Yeah.
I will say, because he won't, it's also a budget issue. I don't have an endless budget for all the beautiful maps that I would love to have out of this effort. So we will have to evaluate whether or not it's something that's in the budget that we can afford to do.
But I'd have to push back on that.
Yeah.
That just is not acceptable to me.
Well, I understand your feeling, but I've been given a certain amount of money by the city council, we've already got a scope laid out. So there are some things we can do and some things we can't,
Then why come here?
No, no,
because we're looking for policy direction.
Yeah, I'm trying to give you some.
What do you have? I'm just talking about the maps.
And you're
Yeah.
saying I can't afford to make a map?
Steve, it seems to me that Public Works probably have almost a
Yeah.
map,
Yeah,
right?
this is
So
not
it's not gonna
creating.
cost a ton of money,
No,
it's just
and
finding the
If
information.
they already do, fine,
Yeah,
but if they don't, I'm
because-
telling you, the cost of making these
Yeah.
maps is not inexpensive.
yeah, but it's drainage there, so just, repurpose that
We'll
for,
see what we can do.
And let me
Okay.
see
I
if
think
I
Steve
can
and I can
find
make the map in
the
about
nature
15
map I'm
minutes.
talking about, that's in, cause we know who created them. I'll go see if they can do a printout, and I'll bring it over to you and you take a look at
yeah.
Do you know who made those interpretive panels?
it. I have to look it up, it's in my notes somewhere. Oh, which one of the nature panels? It's-
No, do you know who?
I know who it is,
designed
but I have it in my phone somewhere, and I have to look it up. So
What
the-
I have,
Okay,
Sherry, is one of my interpretive panels that I'm currently doing at the North Davis Habitat area, which has one of the pump stations on it, and we have an interpretive panel there to point out this very thing, which is that, oh, you're standing here next to this pond and it, but do you know that it's actually part of this regional drainage, system? And I have a map, that's based on the Public Works map that shows all the different detention bases and channels. And I have a designer that's doing this interpretive panel. And so I can check in with her because she was I'm pretty sure I
It
had
may be
that
the same
Public
one.
Works map, but of course it was old and I do not think it had like, GIS, a data set associated with it. But, so she was maybe even gonna recreate it, but I can check in with her about it, but it was intended to do kind of this very thing.
Can you tell me what her name was, so I can cross-check mine?
Her name's Anne-Marie Perazzi from Helix.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think Helix did those other panels though.
Okay. Okay.
I'd also be happy to volunteer,
Yeah, we have a mapping intern with us right here. I have a few additional things from going through the report. So just going through kind of the executive summary at the front end, in the ag and soil resources part, there were a couple strategies, the major strategies for preserving ag land, and Measure O was not mentioned in there. It was all about ag mitigation and the ag buffers, but Measure O is a critical piece of what we're doing to protect ag land. In the biological resources, further down in the document, you talk about it, but up in the executive summary, you don't really talk about any restoration, and that is, critical to anything that we want to do in the Central Valley. With 90+% of the Central Valley wiped out, we're not going to have viable biological resources in the long run unless we're doing restoration. So that needs to be one of our key strategies of what we're doing on that. On the water resources, again, my general thing was the whole storm drain system is also potentially wildlife corridors. I see multi-use potential in there. We have some examples where we're actually doing these multiple uses. A lot of times it's there's not that interplay between open space and public works that we'd like to see, but I would like to see more of that cooperation between the two organizations. Let's see. Again, when we're talking about the riparian opportunities, Willis Slough Bypass, Dry Slough Channel A, like Steve was saying. Under strategies, one of the strategies that I've been pushing over the last number of years is some sort of concept of integrated conservation and development. So where there are proposed developments, they're sitting in areas that we see as important places to enhance connectivity, enhance habitat. we can leverage those development dollars to actually implement what we want to see so that we can get affordable housing at the same time as we're getting these important open space elements. So for example, just in the Village Farms proposal, we if it goes forward as it's proposed, we're going to end up with a 45-acre vernal pool habitat. We're going to end up with an enhanced Channel A, and as well as getting these affordable housing. So there are opportunities to do the integration of the development and the conservation on specific sites. And then I'm not sure how much we want to get into this, but under the existing policies, there are, I would say, opportunities with statewide programs. So the statewide 30 by 30 initiative, work that we're doing at the city to both protect, conserve areas as well as restore, will help meet the statewide 30 by 30 goals. There's also going to be associated funding from the state to help implement those. So that's a strategy moving forward, as well as the recently voted on Prop 4, the climate bond. There will be money to do some of these projects. So those are going to be some opportunities that I see to help implement our open space priorities. So those are all that I have that would be in addition to what you've already heard.
Can I read some comments that Sarah couldn't come, but she sent in some comments, so I promised that I would read what she sent in. So this is from Commissioner Gunsey. First, I support the language regarding new developments and open space amenities / landscaping, as well as expanding ecological value of existing city-owned parks and open space within the city. It would be nice to create a graphic or add on to Table 4 of Attachment 3, determining the species of concern that can be supported within the city, habitat interwoven with development, and which ones require large areas of undeveloped land. Important to recognize opportunities for micro open space elements within the currently developed city, especially areas that lack a more quote-unquote natural wild aesthetic. Consider areas within the city that can be restored and made more natural and less manicured, yet still managed for either safe public access or just safe public viewing, parentheses, access along greenways, smaller areas in parks, viewing medians along highways and railroad corridors. One example I've always wondered about is the bit of land on G Street by the railroad and just north of the shopping complex with Ken's Bike and Ski. I have no idea who owns this land, but it's one example of a place that could be made into an innovative micro open space. Stormwater drainage infrastructure is an excellent way to interweave habitat elements, bioswales, etc. I would like to know how fair access to open space and recreation opportunities for all residents will be measured and what strategies will be used to achieve this goal. It would be nice to have some language in the general plan regarding the public health benefit of open space and natural habitat for residents. I'll give this to you so you can have it.
All right.
Okay. Any last thoughts, commissioners?
I did also have another question. Been trying to think about what, I guess issue or strategy might come from this, but in the report there was a talk about the groundwater sustainability plan for Yolo County Subbasin, and just kind of briefly touched upon, but I wasn't sure how much you've learned or how much has even been published from the subbasin about this, but how much pressure there's going to be on farmers in our area to implement new water conservation strategies, and just thinking more broadly how that might apply pressure to farmers to convert and sell their land over time. I don't know what the status is
Talk about
here.
pressures on farmers because of lack of availability of
Yeah, or new practices they have to implement for the groundwater requirements. I don't know if those have been published. It said it had been published 2 years ago, so I don't know. But just thinking kind of more broadly policy-wise, I don't know if there's a way to promote the easement opportunity for those that are within our planning area to find ways for them to reduce the cost of their land if they're feeling pressure And they can, cause if they get an easement, they can get lower taxes, right, on their land, so. That might be one way to promote the conservation easement program, for our area, it might persuade some of them if they're feeling those economic pressures. So I don't know if that's so much a city policy as much as just like a practice from the program, but.
Yeah.
Anything else, Christina?
It's on a map thing, but I don't know how important it is for the general plan, but I just thought the crop, mapping for our area was lacking. There's more specific granular mapping now through the DWR's website, the cropland mapping they call it. You could get very specific just to our area versus the Yolo County crop reports, which are the whole county, not specific to our area. So I don't know how much that would really affect the outcome of the general plan strategies around ag land, to know like this parcel is vineyard versus rice, but that was just a comment.
This is from where DWR?
Yeah, DWR, they have their cropland mapping now.
I think you have to remember what the general plan is ultimately used for.
Yeah.
First of all, it's mostly for properties that are in the city limits. So there might be properties that are outside the city limits today that ultimately will be brought into. And we use the general plan to evaluate those particular projects. That's not to say that we can't put policies in the general plan that might, say, impact the county. But like what you were talking about, like going way up to the headlands of some of these sloughs, we don't have any ability to enforce anything that would happen at those headwaters, so.
Fully understand that.
So it becomes, what is the purpose of the general plan? The purpose is really about to gear, how are we going to use the land in the city? And so we could put a policy in that maybe talks about encouraging Yolo County to, I don't know, preserve Willow Slough or something, I don't know, I'm just making stuff up, but those kinds of things we can put in, and then we can point to those policies when and if, I don't think this has ever happened either, but if for some reason someone came along and wanted to do something on their farm that involved ruining the slough, that we could then point to, but we really wouldn't have the final say anyway. So that's, you kind of have to think about it in terms of where we're going to end up.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, I'm not sure this is really important for the planning, but.
We wouldn't really encourage farming in the city limits. We don't need to. It's happening in Yolo County just fine. So I think we need to think about it more in terms of what it could end up being if it did come into the city. And that would be the purpose of any of the maps that we might have.
And one way for you to think about this too, some of the work that you're doing is, we often tell people to think about general plans as like a Venn diagram, right? You have what you can control, what you can influence, and what are your areas of concern, right? And so we've touched on all three today, right? There are things in the city's control that we've touched on, and there are things that you can influence through regional collaboration and policy, and then there are things that are areas of concern, maybe headwaters of the slough that's far, far outside the planning area. That's an area of concern, right, but you might not have any influence or control over. So that's just a way to help frame the policies and the strategies as we think about this and start to move forward.
I think the thing about the headwaters though is that it does point to the importance of the things that we actually can control within the city.
Totally, right, they're not mutually exclusive, right?
That's not just a ditch that's on the north side of the city, that it has this larger function, even though the city doesn't control all of that.
Especially with climate change, this channel right here is your climate change nightmare, okay? Because the intensity storms that do this, and then it all ends up in this channel, this little tiny Stonegate Basin is already flooding that intersection about every 4 or 5 years. It's bad, and it's gonna get way worse. So, may not be in our control right now, but we're gonna want it to be in our control pretty darn soon, otherwise we're gonna be digging a lot of more basins.
So we should try to wrap this up.
Don't be surprised if you don't see that in the future.
Can I make
Oh,
a
yeah.
couple comments just me
Yes.
too?
Yes.
I just wanted, and this may not be a general plan thing, but just, I wrote some notes too, everything was covered, so I won't repeat, but one thing about, it's come up, has been come up recently is maybe what the general plan might say about ag buffers that are no longer ag buffers. When development, you know, when we are just now
Yeah.
starting to deal with that issue. Before, our ag buffers were just ag buffers, but now if we have development on both sides,
Mhm.
how does the general plan treat those things? You know, what are they gonna be called? Are they sort of linear? Now they're gonna be linear sort of open space areas, or I don't know what, but I mean, I feel like it's something that should be addressed, because we talk about the ag buffers, but they can also change and become no longer ag buffers.
Now they're wildlife corridors.
They could be they are wildlife corridors, I mean, they would still have what's there, but I guess, I don't know, I mean, again, that's just something I think the plan should maybe think about. Another one that's come up, is in all these areas, as we know, we're starting to get more and more into the floodplain, and we develop, I know again, the plan is talking about what's in the city, but we're also kind of looking at areas for growth, right? So we're looking into areas for growth, and so again, just like, should the plan think about these soil borrow sites? And we're thinking about this with Village Farms, and it's a, you know, in the past, we've been able to, they've been small, we haven't had to elevate huge pads. And the ones that we did elevate, you know, they're kind of quote unquote hidden because they've become these ponds and habitat areas, but you know, if we're talking about expanding outside the city and we're talking about hundreds of acres that have to be elevated, then you're talking about a very large soil borrow site or something. I mean, I don't know, it just seems like, and you know, those can't stay in the county because the county doesn't allow for that, so we would have to annex it, and how do we deal with that? How do we deal with annexing in? Do we think about having one large borrow site that everybody shares? Or do we have all of these pockets? I don't know, it's just, again, that's something I think that, and what are these things? And what are they, right? Are they just, what do they become? They're gonna be within our city limits, and what are they? And if it's a huge one, like, yeah, anyway, so just the issue of soil borrow sites that we've so far not really had to deal with too much, but we're gonna have to deal with it going forward because we're more and more into the floodplain area. And I think you guys covered some of my other just thoughts. I was just thinking about different things that have come up recently where we've had to, we've had to address some of these issues. I guess those were it. Everything else we kind of mostly discussed.
Okay, I think we should plan to wrap up unless there's other questions from the team
Yeah.
here for us after hearing this, just avalanche comments.
I would just say thank you all, like, appreciate all of your thought and your intentions. I mean, we're here to listen to you all, and that's why we're here. So we'll do the best we can to accommodate all the comments that you had and the thoughts that you guys had, so we can kind of put the resources together that we need to make this the best plan that we can. So appreciate your continued support, and we'll be back with you all again. As I mentioned, we'll probably be in this sometime in the spring quarter next year, and then we'll be ramping up to right elements, so then you'll get an opportunity, another crack at this.
Great. Well, thanks for coming out tonight, and thanks for the work you guys have put in on this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's outstanding, thank you.
Eric, do you have a card?
Probably, that seems real analog though. But yeah, let me check, I'm sure I did my best.
Or you just tell me your email, it'd be easier.
It's one of those things that, you know, was so prevalent for so long, and now it's just, you don't need them as much anymore.
I use a digital one now for work.
You have a digital one?
See people, it's a QR code, they scan it, adds you to their contacts.
That's what it is. That is.
It's the new thing.
Well, you can leave that, Sherry, I'll deal with that later.
Well, I can at least do these two.
Okay,
Oh, you guys are done.
no, we're not done.
No,
I'm sorry, I didn't get
we've got
that.
another 2.5 hours. Yeah, 10 minutes.
I'm gonna shoot you.
Oh, it's 8:30, it's
Still early. Thought we'd be going till 10.
It's really 9:30, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's, like.
Feels like it.
Just waiting for Mark to get back.
Oh, Mark left.
Yeah.
Can we crack that door? It's kind of warm in here. Are you gonna be cold?
I'm fine.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Oh, he's from Berkeley. Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for those good comments. That was good. Okay, Mark is back, so let's wrap this thing up. Going over to subcommittee liaison assignments, Lower Poudre Creek Coordinating Committee canceled the October meeting, but what I can say is that we had the 25th anniversary Salmon Festival in Winters this past weekend. Great turnout, good kind of political turnout with the House, with Mike Thompson, Congressman, giving a, I don't know, what do you call it? A resolution.
Congressional record plaque.
In appreciation. The state assembly and Senate were there, so that was all great. And most importantly, we got the first numbers about salmon in the creek this year, which is 350 so far,
Nice.
which is a good uptick
That's
over the last 2
outstanding.
years.
Wow.
And even during the festival, we could just stand on the bridge and see some of them down in the gravel beds there spawning, so that was fantastic.
Awesome. Gotta go check it out.
It's great.
Okay, nothing on Yellow Habitat Conservancy. Moving over to the Open Space Peripheral Parcels Subcommittee. I don't know, Mark or Steve, do you wanna say anything about this or what we did today? We met today for the first time.
We met today.
I don't know what to say about it. We just sort of touched base,
Just kind of
talked
organized
about
ourselves,
some
yeah.
general topics. Talked a little bit about that report.
Yeah, what was
As
the
a,
report?
in context of like what we're working on in the subcommittee.
Yeah,
And I guess we're gonna, have another couple of meetings and figure out what we're gonna do.
I have a meeting tomorrow with Matt Wolf, the city's GIS person,
Yeah.
so that he can figure out what it is that we need, and so we can get all set up and ready to roll on the GIS data.
Does it make sense for us to possibly make the map that Sherry was so
Yeah.
reluctant to make?
that's what I
Might
was
as well.
going, yeah,
I mean,
because that's part of what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Unless I don't understand, but I think
It is.
it's really mapping out those things that are important to us as commissioner in the open space and habitat, right?
I'm sure Matt has the GIS layer that we're talking about of just the drainage system. And
I hope, I mean.
I would hope so.
I pointed out some stuff, I didn't, I don't even know, so there's a lot, I think there's more than.
Yep.
We need like public input.
But yes, I think we definitely should make those maps. I think they'll definitely be easy maps to make, despite.
I don't think there's an objection to getting the map, so that's a good idea, it's just how they get them, and if we're you guys are in a position to put them together.
Mapping into.
I think I just sent you the map, the public works map that I'm using for for the interpretive panel at the uplands.
The map would be
Because
good.
it shows all the different watersheds that
Yeah.
go into each of the, like, detention basins and channels that are
Cool.
around the city.
The map would be great. Even better would be the underlying, public works GIS data.
I know, that's what I was saying, is that for my panel, because this map is kind of old, I
Yeah,
don't know if Matt has that. I think that I had to recreate it for the uplands one, because,
Someone has to have those data.
possibly. I can
That'd be
go back.
insane if that didn't exist.
Anyway. I can send you that map so you can
Anyway.
see it.
We're gonna be,
And then-
having another meeting next week, our subcommittee, after talking to Matt, and, we'll be moving along as quickly as we can on this, cause it's kind of a time sensitive.
and at least for me, the discussion we had tonight really helping what, we're supposed to do, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on to general plan committee, nothing to report except for Steve and I were named to be part of that, and there's no information yet about when we're gonna be meeting or anything, so. Long range calendar, Tracy, what do we have?
So December, I actually don't have anything specific because the Willow Grove project
Yeah.
is probably going to come on the February meeting. My preference is we cancel the January meeting. It's always a tough
Yeah.
one to have. It's January 5th.
Yep.
A lot of people are out also. It has to be prepared ahead of time.
I prefer to
All is
cancel that one
closed,
as
so.
opposed to December.
So January, I'm thinking of canceling, but then, and plus the February meeting is really early. It's like February 2nd or something. That would be similar to the open space and habitat features of Village Farms. This would be for Willow Grove. Does everybody know Willow Grove?
Yes.
Yes. So that's February. December, I don't really have anything, time sensitive for December. So I can think about it, I can talk to you, I don't know.
We can work on that and
We
come
can
up with some stuff.
work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything that's totally prepared for that. I have a lot of things that could potentially, happen, but they're not ready they're not ready that quickly. So, anyway, so I'm not quite sure about December.
Alright,
Okay,
alright.
good.
I was thinking perhaps the subcommittee might give a report, is one thing I was thinking about.
That'd be good. I think that we
Perhaps.
should have,
So that's just
if we
one.
don't have anything by then we are moving way too slow.
Well, so, I mean, that was one thing I was thinking about. I know you had mentioned too, I don't know if you wanna do an info. If you had mentioned some legislation about
Yeah,
access to ag
I
land.
think, I need to double check what happened with that in the legislative.
Because if it's just an informational thing, then we don't have to go through the process of, getting city council approval to agendize it. If it's just something that's just an informational thing
Yeah,
that you
last I
wanna do.
checked, the governor vetoed it, so I don't know.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
He
okay.
vetoed a lot of stuff, yeah.
I see.
So much for that, huh?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I need to check in on it, but it was, are you talking about the new DOC?
Well, you had mentioned some legislation that had a lot of support that had something to do with
Yeah,
either, access through leasing farmland. It was something about access to.
yeah, okay, yeah, it was the DOC program. Yeah, I'll see.
Okay,
where that
okay, well,
went.
that was one thought I had too, because you had mentioned possibly in the fall you would know more, so anyway.
Idea, what about, getting someone from the state to tell us about these two bills that we heard about today?
Getting someone.
Well, he said that they haven't even released guidance on one of them yet.
That's what I was thinking, like, can we get a staff person in resources that knows about it?
Well, I
To just
just
come in
mean
and
that maybe if they
talk
haven't
to
even
us.
released guidance, then they probably wouldn't wanna come talk to us about it. That's my assumption.
Because they don't have anything official to say about it.
Yeah, exactly, it hasn't been publicized yet, what the official state guidance.
The
Well, what about the
official.
one that does have?
Yeah, there is one that does that, yeah.
That might be an interesting, the
Rewilding.
Yeah, rewilding and
the 1425.
SB 1425,
rewilding,
rewilding, open space equity and climate adaptation.
yeah.
There's some, it might be nice to hear about that for our general plan update process.
Absolutely.
Can I ask a question? I've also been curious about our open space strategic plan, and, cause that goes through 2030, I believe. So then how that plays in with the general plan update? Or are there thoughts about that, or what that process might look like? I know it's only 2025.
So the strategic plan, the strategic plan, primarily has to do with, open space areas that the city owns currently, right? The acquisitions area the acquisitions chapter focuses on, where do we wanna focus fee title acquisitions, easement acquisitions, right? So that's the priority acquisition areas, which is factoring into the general plan, the priority acquisition areas, because it kind of dovetails on sort of these areas where we want to focus preservation, like along sloughs and whatnot, right? That we already know. The other way it sort of connects is the connectivity, because it does talk about, pedestrian and bike connectivity between open space areas. But primarily the strategic plan is about sort of how we manage our current open space. Those are kind of the two main ways I see that the strategic plan overlaps. This is priority acquisition areas that are outside in the planning area, and then the connectivity question about not just within city open space, but regional, county open spaces, connectivity in that regard. So,
I guess
it's not really a planning document. I mean, it is sort of, but not it's not a formal planning document.
No.
Right.
But they cite it in the.
They do cite it, yes.
Oh yeah, I was
So they're
thinking
aware
more
of it.
like ahead on updating it. I suppose it makes more sense time-wise and otherwise to update it once the general plan is adopted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Because the city adopted the strategic plan, didn't it, for the open space program?
yeah, in 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the commission worked really hard on that for a long time, so.
Right, that's what I was curious, like how long that really
So,
took and at what
that's-
point. I mean, this is future planning, but,
Yeah.
that's
Where is that document? Is that a PDF?
It's on the
that's-
one, yeah.
It's on the website, yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully updating it won't take as long as creating it in the first place.
Oh, no,
Okay,
yeah.
how long
Yeah.
did it take last time?
Oh gosh,
Long
several
Years, that's what I figured.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
Good.
we're good. Anything else?
Do you have any idea what that is on the map?
Adjourned.
Yeah, it's this way.
Thanks,
No,
everyone.
This
Thank
thing,
you,
the
Leader.
Knights Landing.
Ridge cut to a canal. It's